Alright, in this video I want to talk about doing a design using transparent mode, just so you can see how this works doing a takeoff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to show you is we want to go back into original homes. We're going to click on original homes. And we're going to go to add new project. So we'll click on the add new project button. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add an address to this project. So we're going to do 321 State Line Drive. So we'll use that for the PO, and we'll use that for the address. And then we're going to come down to upload project plan. We're going to have our example plan 2 here. Then we're going to assign an estimator, which in this case we'll assign John Stark. And we'll assign John and Frank as the field managers. So we have our information in, so we're going to hit continue. Our relevant pages are loading up. We're going to use page 4 and 5. Excuse me, actually, we're going to do page 8 here. Let's go to layout on it. We're going to hit continue and save it. Once it's done, it's going to bring us back out to the main original homes page with all of our projects. We can see 321 State Line Drive is in there now, so we'll click on that. Once we're in this, we're just going to go to Plan and Other Files. And I'm going to load this plan here. Let's hit Stop. Let's hit Edit Plan. So now once we're inside the plan, we can see the layout that they have in here for this particular house. Shows all the different devices that were already placed on the plan by the builder. So what I want to show you is how we would do a takeoff in this. So since they already have a layout, we're just going to use their layout, but we're going to do a takeoff so that we can get the correct information for our estimate and we can get the correct information for our materials. So let's get started here. The first thing I want to show you is we're going to go to our assemblies. We're going to click on transparent. So once we've clicked on transparent, we're going to pick our switch here, our single pole Decora. We're going to go down and we're going to shrink this down to right about the size that they have for the switch. So one higher there. And once we've done that, we're going to hit Save Width and Height. So all we're going to do, though, after we've done that, is we're just going to place it over the top of it. I'm going to zoom this in so you can see it a little bit better. So then we're just going to right mouse click. And if we do that, we're just going to click over the top of, we're just going to start covering these switches. So you see we just went around and covered up all those single pole switches. Now we're going to go to our three ways. That's the single pole. You can see how quickly it lays over the top of those icons. To add those, we're just using the right mouse button. We're going to leave these off here for a second because I want to show you something. Now, one thing I can show you here, it's a little confusing, but those are both three ways. Remember, you're going to get some plans that are going to show potentially that the icons that they have aren't necessarily correct for the layout, but you can tell that in that situation it almost looked like you had a single pole to a three-way, but you can tell that obviously that's a three-way situation. So you're going to lay it out, you're going to do your corrections on the plan so that it works best for the estimate that you're trying to build. So even if their information is a little skewed, you're going to try to correct that information so that you potentially have the information that you need and know as the electrician that it's correct. And you're going to find yourself having to correct some different plans sometimes. Just the way that they come in will have spacing issues, or they not use the correct symbols. A lot of times these are laid out by people in their offices or whatever information, or even their plan designer tried to get it as close as he could. But in that situation isn't necessarily an electrician, so he may put the wrong information on there. So it's going to be your job as the estimator to correct it so that it works for your guys. It obviously will meet NEC code requirements, that type of thing. So keep that in mind. You can see we're placing the icons right over the top. Works like a highlighter. So it's doing all of your takeoffs by this though. So it's counting all those openings that it needs to add onto your estimate. It's determining all your material that you're going to need to use throughout this process. You're going to get very fast at using the editor with the right mouse button. You can put large amounts of icons on the page in a very small amount of time. And that's what it's all about. It's about trying to keep it as fast as possible, and that way that you're moving on to the next plan quickly. You don't want these estimates and these plans to take all day. So you want to be able to move very quickly so that you can get your job completed and move on to the next one. This doesn't have to be perfect. What we're trying to do is make sure that we've counted everything that we need to count. So your placement doesn't have to be super exact. They cannot see these green icons or the transparent icons on the plan. So this is just so that you know that you've got it. Put a couple of bath fan lights on here. Back this out a little bit so you can see more. You'll see sometimes I leave this menu open while I'm putting assemblies on the page. You're going to get good at being able just to keep it open while you're working, so that way you can add multiple icons on there at the time if you're in a small area and you're just trying to get them on there. Here's a good example of how their icons may look slightly different than yours, but you know that this is going to mean a phone and cable combination. Obviously, you can see ours looks slightly different than with that, but it doesn't really matter because all you're trying to do is show yourself that you've counted it. Now, next I'll show you that they didn't put any type of doorbell on this plan. And we normally do that as part of our electrical package. So we have a doorbell opening. So we're going to switch out of transparent and go back to our normal style. And we can see we've added that. Now the great thing about this is when they look at the print, they're going to see all the icons, how the builder had laid it out, unless you make any changes. And this is a good example of that we're adding a symbol to the plan. So they'll see the way the builder originally had it, but they're also going to see it with the new ones that you've added. Next thing I want to show you here is this is your chance to make some corrections to the plan as well. You can see that when they did their layout, something got tweaked here. So what we're going to do is, so we could use our overlays and we can use our whiteout button and we can clean up the fact that that three-way and that single pole switch were pushed off that wall for them. We can shrink this down a little bit if we want. Let's go back to our general mode. Now we've added it back on there, and it will actually fix the, take that outlet since it got buried under there too. You see that it'll clean up that plan though, covering up the fact that those switches were pushed off that wall. So a nice feature that you can do some repair on the plan for them. You could also just cross that out by using your overlays again if you wanted to use the cross button. If you wanted to cover up something to say, no, this isn't going to happen. You know, this is a good example of, we'll get a lot of plans that come in where they won't have the correct layouts. So we can cross something out of their plan or white it out and say, no, that didn't happen. A lot of times I will use the cross because I want it to go back to their designers. And so their designers can see, okay, he's saying that we didn't place it right, and he showed with his new ones how he did it, and they can make their corrections. So the next time they send out that plan, hopefully it's repaired. It makes for more accurate estimating. You're always in that situation where somebody is going to do an estimate and not count on they're kind of almost counting on the fact that the builder may do it wrong. And so they take a little bit of advantage of that because they're like, well, you didn't show it on your print, so we didn't do it. My philosophy on that is, we're in this business to help people. And if we can give them the correct information on the plan, then we should do so. It's just, I think that's just common courtesy, but I won't get into my philosophy on estimating. You can see too that when they move that outside light and that outside receptacle got kind of smashed into that wall too. So we're gonna put it on there so it becomes more clear that it's on there again. Let's go back to transparent mode. Good example here. They're not showing, they're only showing that 240 volt, but you know that there's a microwave that's over the top of that. So I'm adding a symbol on there too, so they know that I put that on there. I'm just covering up their 240 volt range. Another good example here. Chances are there's not going to be a 2 gang trying to be pushed underneath that ledge. So when I do my plates, I will do it as 1 gangs, where obviously these are going to be turned to the side underneath this ledge. So, but for this right now, we're just trying to show that we counted the switches. And as always, their symbol just shows the outlet, and you're trying to show that this is an island receptacle. you may have some more costs or some different types of things, depending on what type of island that is. If you have to cut those boxes in, you're obviously not going to be using nail-ons, things like that. So you'd have a different charge for those items. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. They're just showing you the outlet. You as the estimator need to make sure that you're showing the right icon that's going to be the type of material you're going to be using and the type of price that you want for something like that. And they're never going to see these icons either. So they don't know what you did, but you'll know as the estimator so that it'll correct it for your materials in your estimate. I'm going to leave this uncovered just because they show it going down the stairs too. So we aren't going to want to cover it here and then cover it twice going down the stairs on the lower level because it's going to overcount it. Another good example that they just have that switch there for the fireplace. My opening includes a couple different items for the fireplace opening as far as the outlet and things that needs to go underneath the tray. So my opening for the fireplace includes all that stuff. So it's just a little bit more than just a switch there. One thing that on this plan too, a great example sometimes when you're going to have to clean some stuff up. I noticed on this plan they don't have any smoke detectors. So I'm going to add these to the plan for code so that they know that they're getting these. Carbon out here. We'll do one out in front of this bedroom too. Phone. The key is the most accurate information that we can have on this plan for ourselves. Go down in this garage. Another good example, they're just showing normal fixtures, and I know this builder does keyless fixtures out in this garage, so I'm going to correct it so that my material is coming out correctly. This is a great example of an icon where, it includes a lot of different things. When I put this symbol on to cover up their outlet, it's also including the outlet, the box, the cover, but I also do my low voltage needed for the door openers. So it includes, the nail on up here, the nail ons down at the door and back at the keypad. So when you're building those assemblies, you think about everything that you want to include in that and all your price involved in that. to make sure that you're charging what you need and that all your material is covered. So you can really put a lot of different items into one assembly. Once again, we're switching back to general mode because we need to show that we have an air conditioner opening. They did not put one on their plan. And you're not always going to know where this is going to be right now just because of heating and cooling. The great thing is when you're using tablet, your guys can move it if it falls on the other side of the house, different things like that. For now, you're just showing them that we have it on the plan and that it's been charged for. Same thing with the panel. They didn't do the panel, and this could end up to be a garage service or a basement service. And they may have to make some corrections when they're out in the field so that, you know, once they get there and realize, okay, well, that's a basement service, and they can switch it so that it has the correct parts that it needs before they put in their order for a basement service instead of a back-to-back garage service. So we've pretty much laid out floor one. The one thing that we do want to add, that we do on our normal plans, is that we need to do the plate corrections. And when I say plate corrections, that deals with, remember that when you built your single pole or any of your switch openings, you didn't include the box or the cover because of the amount of ganging that you have to do around the house. So we have to correct that. So we're just going to put a single pole. Right now we're just doing all the single poles that we're going around, and we're just right mouse clicking on there so that it'll send out the correct box and plate for the rough and trim to correct that problem. Majority of those, let's switch to 2 gang here. You're going to get pretty fast at doing this, but you're going to want to make sure that you do it because your material is going to come out wrong if you don't. I'm not a big advocate of doing 5 gang boxes. I'm going to switch this up to, they have it broken, or they have it set at 5 switches here. I'm going to do a 2 gang and a 3 gang and do some spacing on that. I'm not a real big fan in a house where we try to put all 5 switches in one box. If they request it, I do it, but I'm not a big fan of it. Now we're going to put our circuits on this page. I'm adding our 15 amp arc faults that we need. I'll do a 20 up here for the dinette. A couple of GFI arc fault combinations for our kitchen 1 and 2. Also, we want to put on our, somewhere here, we want to make sure that we get our temporary power. And our permit fees. Once again, I always do that in transparent because that's not something the customer is going to really relate to, but we want it to show up on the estimate. So it looks like we have the majority of everything that we need for our main level. They've actually put the lower level on the same print. Let's zoom this back in so we can work on this real quick. Go back up to our transparent on our single pole switches. Same thing we were doing before. We're just quickly going through. Zoom this in so you guys can see this a little more. Just going to quickly go through. Right mouse click. And on transparent, you'll find yourself, I find myself, instead of just designing an an entire area. I kind of pick one device and go through and cover all those devices up. It's just preference. And when I'm in general mode, a lot of times I'll stay in one room to make sure that I get everything. It just seems like I work differently in general mode in comparison to in comparison to transparent mode. Put that back on. One thing I did notice there, and you'll find yourself doing corrections. I know that when they do that this is more than a 2-foot span, so I'm going to add an outlet for them. When I built REMS, I wanted the transparent mode to be as fast as doing general mode. I think it's a process that you obviously have to have just because you're going to have plans that come in, but I wanted to make it so it was also strong enough that they could still work together without any type of having to go into a different type of menu or a different type of print for doing transparent mode for takeoffs. I wanted it all in one shot so that you're always working on the same plan. You're not having to go into different types of programs to say, okay, this one's for takeoff or this one's for design. That's the great thing about REMS. Everything is built into one, and it just makes it so much faster when you're as an estimator, not to have to be like, okay, well, now I need to go into a different type of program to do takeoffs. It's all in one tool on the editor. It's a great editor, and I'm not boasting about it, but the biggest thing about our editor is that it's really built for the electrician. I feel like in comparison to using a lot of different editors, this one is a full package. You're going to find yourself that you're really going to fall in love with this editor. It really grows on you really fast because you just realize all the potential that you have as an estimator in comparison to where you were before. You're not using 4 different programs. You're using one program throughout your day. It'll just become a large part of how you do your job as an estimator and how you do your job as in general as far as doing estimating and invoicing and panel schedules. Just everything is all into one, and you're going to find yourself on it quite a bit because it just becomes how you do everything, and it's so fast and easy. It's going to change the way that you estimate. I'll tell you that. It has for me. Here's another example of something I'm going to correct. I think what they were trying to show was this could either possibly be a bar, or if the bar is not there, it could be just a normal wall with the TV and outlet. I'm going to, for the sake of this video, we're going to say that this is the bar. So that means we're going to eliminate, we're not going to put the cable in the bar. It's not really necessary. So here's a good example where we can use that cross. We're going to cross out that TV to say, no, we did not do it. And we're going to cover up their one device there, but they're going to need to add another outlet on there. So we're going to go back into general. So we'll do another countertop outlet. And then I'm going to assume this as a mini fridge, so I'm going to add an outlet for that as well. Similar to upstairs too, they don't show their smoke detectors, but we want to show them because we want the builder to understand that we have this included in our estimate. So we're adding it to the print so they know that we're doing it. Back to transparent mode here. It's just that seamless to go back and forth too. That's the great thing about it, is you're really able to do your counts, make your corrections, and show anything else that you're going to do all on one plan. Here we're going to count those step lights. Earlier, the upstairs showed that there was another step light, but it carried through on that print. Don't count it 3 times if you know that it's only going to be 2. They're showing pull chains in here, but I'm going to change these to, I know the builder uses keyless, so we could do pull chains if we wanted. We can have an assembly for that. But in this case, I know this particular builder, whoever designed this for him, didn't have it correct. That's not supposed to be there either. We're going to cross that one out. In this unfinished room, I'm going to put, I have an opening that I charge our builders for the UFR and water grounding and that type of thing. And I just show it as a symbol like that. They don't obviously do that, but as far as showing it on their print, but that's for them to know we're doing it. And it's for our guys to know we're doing it. And it's obviously become part of our estimate and our materials. We also do a fiber board installation. Fiber's getting big in our area, so we have a cabinet and things that we install with an outlet. So this fiber opening lets our electricians know that that's included. It's also on the estimate for our electrician, or excuse me, for our builder. I'm going to do switch on there, do water heater power vent. Back into transparent mode. And since we changed these to keyless, I'm going to go back into our general. Add a switch coming into this room. So you can see how fast that basement comes together. It's a really easy, streamlined process. Let's zoom this back out. You see we've covered all those icons around the room, so it's done all of our counts. One thing we still need to do down in this basement, we're going back to transparent mode. Same thing, we're going to put our plate covers on for a correction. And you don't have to get real exact with these, just because anything that's in transparent mode does not show up in the plan. You're just correcting yourself. Put our circuits down here. Put 2 out here, do 1 over here, and we'll do 1 in the unfinished. I'm going to do a 20 amp GFI AFCIA for this bar. So now we have our circuits that are going to be added for our general outlet and lighting circuits. So that's the majority of the layout. The only other thing we're going to do real quick, it has some bragging rights on this plan, so we're going to put our logo on there so they'll know it was designed by us. So now the majority of this has been counted. The last thing that I want to show you on this is keep in mind, just like in general mode, we can go into our customers. So say we know that the customer's putting, we'll work out here. Let's say it's going to be 4 can lights that we want to add to this room. You can combine those into a transparent layout as well. So on our tablet mode, and we'll talk about that in that tablet video, you'll see that our field managers are seeing all the transparent icons to know that the estimator counted everything. But in their walkthrough process too, they may be adding some different things too for the customers. So we've added those. I also want to click on bow lines here. We need to go back to our default. Bow lines will only work in our default size of the plan. Oops. We're going to add a bow line here. Now, our bow lines are all in red, so they'll look slightly different on the plan. I did red bow lines because I think they just really pop out when you're sending an estimate off, so the customer can see them very well. I think too, when you're designing and have the ability to show multiple colors too, it just makes it look that much better. So we've added all those bone lines on there. Close that out. And they'll show up in red. When we're out here, bow lines can only be seen in the bow lines menu, but when you look at the print, it'll show up on there, so that's why they disappeared. So we're back on that main editor. So we've done our layout in transparent mode for takeoff. Now we're just going to hit save. The plan saved successfully. And we're going to exit out. Now that the plan has been saved, brings us back out. It's generating that PDF. And that's how takeoff works. So as this is generating here, we'll give it a second and finish this up here. So we'll look at view plan. The internet is very slow tonight. You can see the legend is built into those pages. Obviously not all the icons that were on the page or on there, anything that's in transparent mode does not show up on electrical legend. Reason being, it will confuse them since they can't see it. When they're looking at the plan, anything that was transparent, they cannot see. So these are just items that we added along the way with our own general icons, and they've showed up on legend. But transparent mode does not show up on there because we don't want them to have the confusion of being like, what are these symbols since I can't see them? So that's how that works. And then you can see on our plan, and we'll blow this up a little bit here for you. the builder's original layout is still there. It just shows all the new things that we've added. The switch for the customer, the corrections up here for the outside lights. It will show, those smoke detectors that we added, the carbon smokes. Anything that we added. It shows our air conditioner opening, our panel with our Unisystem ground on there. So that's how the print will go out to them. It'll still show what the builder was originally intending, but it will show any of the new items that we added onto the print. So it just makes it very, very streamlined for you, that you can do your takeoffs, but you can also show all of your corrections. We can see the things that we blanked out for the builder to understand that we're not doing those items. So it just covers up any of those items for them to say, hey, this is not part of the estimate. So that's how that works. Next thing I want to show you is we'll go into reports once we come back out, and then we can click on that reports button. And we can go to our detail, or let's go to our general estimate report. We're going to generate one. And we can see that it's built our estimate for us with all of our information, just the way it did in the designer before. Our takeoffs have given us all the correct counts that we're going to have on the page, or on our print, so that our estimate is accurate. And it gives us our grand totals and that type of thing. If we go back to reports, we also can do our customer change order report since those cans and that switch was added. We'll generate one for you so you can see that. And it'll show you that switch and those 4 can lights with the builder's markup already included in there. We can do all of our other functions the same. We can do our profit calculator, different things like that, just the way we did in the first video dealing with the editor. So once you've done that, it acts just the same. It just is a way to do an efficient takeoff for your estimate. And these plans also, same thing. We can do they can be changed to a template. So we can go down and change this plan to a template for future plans. It would just include all those takeoff items in transparent in the takeoff, and we can use that for other plans in the future. So that is how you use transparent mode. It's a pretty slick feature. It's a very nice takeoff option that allows you to really get a good accurate count. And then when we were done with that, we can just go back to our plans and other files. And once we were done and know that it was ready, we can just click Share Plan. And it'll send out that link. It'll give you that link email to tell you that you can look at that plan for up to 7 days. And then it'll send out that general estimate report. So very easy way. You can see it propagated. John Smith with Original Homes there in the email address. And you can put your subject line in of this address of the 321 state line and give a message of this is the estimate for and that type of thing. So that is how takeoff works in REMS. Very, very efficient. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at support@tawconcepts.com, or you can visit us at the website tawconcepts.com. We can help answer any questions you might have along the way that's not included in these videos. Also on the website, there's some different questions that have been asked by customers that you can review that may help out with any questions you might have as well. So that is going to do it. Thanks again for watching this video, and as always, good luck.